What's going on, guys? So, just recently got back. I'm kind of reminiscing about all the stuff I have here. So, I went back to Wichita, where I'm from, and I got to see my grandma first and foremost, which was really cool because I haven't seen my grandma and I don't remember the last time I saw her. Didn't get to see my mom, but I did get to see her new house and the shop and her horse and all that stuff. So, for anybody that knows me, knows that I was very active in the Honda scene and LS scene, primarily too, back in Wichita. And I had a lot of stuff that I accumulated over the years, as pretty much everybody does. And I lost a lot of stuff, sold a lot of stuff, and I just recently went back there to pick up a lot of stuff, which was like two of my toolboxes. One is primarily all aircraft tools, because that's what I did for like 15 years. And then my other box had sat there for probably about 20 years. And it's got all my stuff from tools and just random stuff from over 20 years ago. But at that point, I was very heavily into Hondas, primarily probably like 97 through like 2005, pretty much. And I think 2007 was probably the last time I really ever saw that toolbox, or most of this stuff I have laid out in front of me, which you can't really see right now. But I have a tool cart that I had back then that was just kind of like my spare parts stuff, random stuff. And it's funny because I get to see these parts again now that I didn't even know that I had from back then, which is pretty crazy to look at all the parts that I still have now, which are just mainly small items. But a lot of the stuff just brings back so many memories because I remember like that point in my life and like what I was doing and transitioning from like Hondas to my Supra to my couple Z06s, building LSs and all that stuff. And really, the main point of this whole thing was that when I got into cars, obviously it was like I started driving basically when the first Fast and Furious came out, and it wasn't really because of that movie that I really liked Hondas. It was just that was kind of like the icing on top, because back then, I mean, everybody related to that video because it was such true life for us back then. Modifying cars and actually building cars and, body kits and motors. And, seeing this stuff just brings back memories because this was my life, and if it wasn't for these cars, I would probably have like a completely different path in life, and especially at this point now, opening this shop for Integra Hub. And it's just crazy because it's just something that I got into back then, and just I didn't really mean to probably take it that serious, but I that's just kind of the way I am in life. I take things very seriously when I start working on them. It's probably the ADHD. I get hyper focused on things, and I just really dive down deep into some of this stuff. And I'm just going to pull up some of this stuff that I found for you guys. And this is just the tool cart. I haven't even gone through my two toolboxes that are sitting on a trailer right now. And I'll show you that here in a second. But I'll just show you the parts that I found. And I don't remember what any of these parts came off of as far as like what actual car. I just know what the parts are because, it's all Honda stuff. So, it's just like stuff like this. I'm pretty sure this came off of my EK hatch that we did a swap on. And this was an LS. We put an LS in it. It had JDM 5 lug suspension, a roll cage. It was basically like a Osaka build. for the street back then. I mean, it was completely caged, lowered on suspension, you know, the whole nine, LS in it, super fun. And I remember what that mount came off of, because obviously we replaced it with better mounts and all that. And then some of my other parts like this, which is obviously for like a CRX or HF hatchback or EF hatchback, for the radiator support. And I probably had, I don't know, 5 to 10 of these cars at any given time. So I do remember, you know, having these cars as well. And then just a bunch of other random stuff, you know, shift linkage parts, like a ton of shift linkage parts I found in this bucket right here that you can't see. And then of course, like a ton of sensors. What's up, bro? A ton of sensors and stuff like this, just all for Honda stuff. You know, timing belt stuff, you know, bolts like this for, you know, the main pulley. And then for the timing belt too on OBD1 cars that don't have that built-in gear on it. Sensors, you know, just caps from random clutch reservoirs and stuff like that. Also, one thing I wanted to show everybody is I know a lot of people talk about buying new motor mounts and they don't like the vibration in their cars, and because the rubber is a little bit too stiff for them for like a street car, and it kind of vibrates and shakes and stuff like that. I did find this mount and this mount is Teflon, so it's a Teflon insert with a steel sleeve in the middle of it. And this obviously came off of, you know, like 92, 95 or 94, so I know what this came off of, and it came off my race car. I had a 94 RS with fully built sleeved ABS block. I had a Portflow B16 head on it, Type R trans. We had it tuned on Motec. It was a big turbo car, and I know that this came off of it. And along with this mount that was basically completely solid, we also had the lower torque mounts that were completely welded with plates and with, you know, inserts in the middle of it, so you could slide the, you know, the torque mounts through and bolt it to the car. And it was 100% completely solid. Like the motor, it just sounded nuts. And of course, I don't even know if people are doing stuff like that anymore, but that was back in the early 2000s. And then obviously when I got out of Hondas, I got into my Supra, and this is an original from Japan head gasket for one of my 2JZ engines that we were rebuilding at the time. And I still have this from, I don't even know how old this is or how long it's been sitting there, but it, like, again, it's got to be since like 2005. And I remember this gauge right here, this oil, like simple oil pressure gauge, a Phantom autometer. This was also from the race car. You know, there's no frills, like this is just, you know what it is. And then when I got out of the Supra stuff, I got into all the LS stuff. And obviously back then when we were building motors, we didn't have YouTube that we could really dive into. So of course I got the Haynes manual for all the LS Chevy stuff, the repairs, S10, all-wheel drive Chevy, GMC, Haynes manual. So obviously, like this came into play, you know, when I was building a lot of different you know, Chevy vehicles and stuff like that. Also, one thing that like really brought me back was I found 2 parts from one of my original builds, which was a 92 CX hatchback. It had a B20 VTEC in it. It had the head on it that I put in my race car later, which was the Portflow B16 head. It had a B20 block, Type R transmission, and also had the 5-lug on it that I had on it originally, and then I swapped from that car. It got rear-ended, and I took everything off my EG and swapped it to the EK minus the motor, because we put that in the race car. And I found these 2 pieces right here, which were 2 of the original Type R center caps from the wheels I had back then. And obviously these are USDM Type R because of the white and the Acura logo, not Honda logo. But I found one at the beginning of when I just picked the stuff up, and I found the second one in this bucket that I was digging through, that I found all these random parts in. And I don't know if I have the other 2. I'm guessing I probably do in my toolbox over there that's got just an immense amount of stuff in it left over from the days. But this like was really sentimental and really brought me back to those times, when parts like this were not really, I don't want to say sought after, but it wasn't something like now. If I find a set of wheels, I wasn't paying $1,000 for a set of wheels back then. I got the whole suspension. It was a 5-lug suspension with the wheels. I mean, everything complete to put on, an EG or DC or whatever. I think I paid like $550 for it or something like that at the time, and that was with wheels and everything. And I had the wheels powder coated black. I didn't like the white on the red back then, so I powder coated them black. And I just remember that these hub or center caps came off of that car when I originally got them, before I sent them to powder coat, obviously. And I kept them this whole time, regardless of me knowing. But it's just pretty cool. I kind of wanted to make this video and kind of tell my backstory about these cars, and why I opened this shop. Because like I said, if it wasn't for these, I wouldn't have been into this. I wouldn't have got into aircraft that took me all over the United States for 15 plus years, meeting all the cool car people throughout the United States, where I went and where I lived and all that. And helping people with these builds was just really something I really loved doing. It wasn't just for me, it was a lot for my friends. People would bring cars over to my house at all times, that needed a timing belt or a water pump or anything like that. And it's just really cool to think back about how much of that stuff I did do back then. Because at this point now, like, I don't even remember how much, how many cars I worked on or had, or I would say easily from that point in my life of having cars, not really up until now, but just in that time frame, I probably had 20 different cars, at any given time, from Civics to Integras to all that stuff. So I just thought it was kind of cool just to kind of go through some of this stuff and show you guys. And hopefully, I know a lot of people or that are older guys like me that are kind of getting back into this as well. And I hope to see more of that. These cars were new when we were working on them. So, now obviously they're not. And it's just cool to have all these parts. So, I just hope everybody continues to modify their cars, regardless of what the government says, and regardless of what they think and what other people think. I hope this culture never dies. I hope it does come back around. Obviously, more people are getting into building things and kind of learning things. I'm in several groups, and I see it all the time where people ask questions that are, I would not say stupid. I would just say very beginner, which is very cool, because they're at a very important stage of, do I want to learn all this stuff myself and do it, or do I want to take it to someone that has more experience and let them do it and pay money for it. So like I said, I hope this culture continues to grow back again, and we get back to building things and stuff like that. So, and of course, me owning the shop, if anybody does need Integra parts or service or work, we are located here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And of course, we'll help you out however we can, whether you have a Integra or not. If you have a Civic 92 to 2000, whatever, hit us up, let us know, and we'll be happy to help. And I hope everyone had a great weekend. We'll see you later, guys.